Hello out there, this is Wake Angel 2001, and have you ever found out that you were always really close to a convenience store that would have been really useful to you, potentially for years, but you never really thought about it or knew? Well, that happened to me twice in the past 2 weeks, as I found out that there were not only one, but two Target locations that I could easily have been visiting all the time, and for like my entire life. And here I thought I only was able to get to the one on 34th Street, where, which was about a 10-minute walk away from where I worked. Well, it turns out that there was actually a second Target, which was on 42nd Street, literally a block away from my job, and another one, which was a mere 15-minute drive from where I actually live. And here I thought that the only one that we could get to with my family was all the way in the South Bronx, so we would have to drive for like half an hour, or like 45 minutes given the traffic. So, thanks to discovering these two Targets, I was able to find some figures that I've been looking for quite a while. So it's time to do a trilogy of toy reviews. I think that our first review will be of the Jakks Pacific 2.5-inch scaled Amy Rose, because it's just adorable. I keep on telling myself the only 2.5-inch figures that I really want are the Badniks, and that I'm not going to get them, not really going to dedicate myself to collecting this line. But then I see the new ones like, oh, that is so adorable, I gotta get it. Really, I think the only ones I don't have at this point are Eggman. So she comes in the Modern Sonic packaging with that little picture of Modern Sonic in the corner. And she has a character description on the back. Amy has a strong sense of justice and will always follow her heart to protect the weak, no matter how small. And I really like that that's her description now, because if it was 2006, we would be getting Amy Rose is an insane fangirl who pursues Sonic around everywhere and tries to force him to marry her. This wave shows what else is available, including Chili Dog Sonic, which is absolutely polluting the pegs right now, because I think for every case of these things that comes out, there's 5 of these guys, and then maybe 1 or 2 of everyone else. And this is also the debut wave of Neutron, which is the one that everybody's really looking for, myself included, along with re-releases of Sonic, of Shadow and Knuckles. Now, Jakks, if you're contractually obligated to have a Sonic in every single wave, or you have to repeat figures, how about this? How about you just put one Sonic in the case, and then put more copies of the newer figures, instead of only putting 1 copy of each new figure, and then like 5 of the one that everyone already has, huh? That way, people will be able to buy the figure they actually want, and the figure that everyone already has won't be clogging the pegs at the stores. Because remember, if those pegs are clogged, then the stores won't order new stock, and we will not be able to get the figures we want even longer. Alright, so let's get Amy out of the packaging and take a look at the figure itself. And here she is, Amy Rose. Just like all the other Jakks Pacific figures, she has a really great sculpt. She looks fantastic. I haven't found any real paint marring, and her sculpt is just perfect. You look underneath, she has her little pink tail picked out, and it is separated from her dress, so that's actually something that's better than the Jazzwares figure. Now, the articulation isn't as good as the Jazzwares figures, of course, but we're used to that for the 2.5-inch line. She has a swivel on the head, which can get a little bit interfered because of her spines. But fortunately, her spines do flex out of the way because it's made out of a soft enough material. And I think they even ball jointed her head, because I'm looking, and it looks like they actually, look at how I can move it. I can tilt it and stuff. So I feel like there's a ball joint in there, or if not a ball joint, then they made a big hole in the middle of her head that the mushroom cap is going in, so that the head has room to wobble around the neck, but in a good way, because it's not rattling around like a bobblehead, but I can move it around and give it some expression. That's really good. I'm pretty sure that's a ball joint. She has universal joints in her shoulders, nothing in the wrists, and she has universal joints in her hips, nothing at the ankle. So, she has the basic articulation that all these figures have. Just like with all the other 2.5-inch figures, there's no accessories, but if you look at her right hand, it does seem to be sculpted in such a way that it is meant for holding something. Now that is way too small to put the handle of the 4-inch figure's hammer in there, and I think it's even too small to put the Jazzwares figure's hammer in there, but the hand is made out of a flexible plastic that can stretch open. So maybe if you're willing to force it in a little bit, you might actually be able to get her to hold one of the older hammers. I'm just kind of afraid to do it because I might scratch the paint, but maybe I can do like I did a few years ago before they introduced admittedly a decade and a half ago, before they made the Amy Rose hammer officially for Jazzwares, and make my own hammer using a toothpick as a handle like I did before. But yeah, that is little Amy Rose. Like, there's nothing wrong with her paint job this time. She has her exposed back. She has the white spot on her collar, which, as you recall, the 4-inch figure missed. Her mouth isn't sculpted in that big open smile where you can see her tongue. She's just doing a nice little subtle grin. So there is one more thing that I wanted to check. That is, of course, how she scales. I don't know. I feel like they kind of did the same thing with this Amy Rose that they did with the 4-inch one. That is, they made her actually 2.5 inches tall instead of making her 2.5-inch scaled. Because, as you can see, Sonic is barely taller than her, and their ears are actually the same height. Like, Sonic's nose is higher, but his ears are the same height, so it just leads you to think that Amy's head is just proportionately larger. Because, like, there's shoulder to shoulder and hip to hip. So, yeah, these figures are the same height. As we all know, like, in actual canon scale, Amy Rose should be a little bit shorter than Sonic. She shouldn't be the exact height as him. But I don't think it's quite as bad here. Like, I feel like the Amy Rose figure for the 4-inch was really oversized, and here she's barely oversized. So I think I can accept that. So that was a simple little look at the new 2.5-inch scale Amy Rose and all of her adorableness. And this is Wake Angel 2001 signing off. But don't go too far, because coming up next is the review for Neutron.